I'm not that prepared.
And we're live.
All right. Hey, welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to one of our first webcasts of the 2022 season, kind of an impromptu one. Actually, a lot of clamoring for a webcast. More than 3 or 4 owners maybe have reached out and asked about us, and we're going to do one. I apologize. I'm fresh off all my travels, got back on Monday night, so I have not yet finished this week's commissioner report, but I have an epic one in progress. I'm going to use some of that material as our agenda here, so you'll get a little double dose of some of these topics and get the opinions of our panelists on them, in addition to all my writing coming out later tonight. So lots of TFFL for you to absorb. It is Wednesday, November 16th. We are talking about Week 10 TFFL action, looking ahead to Week 11. Welcome back to my dear friends and regular panelists, Hank, czar and CEO of the second place K-Wheels, technically, I believe. But both teams here with me are 7-3. We'll be talking about that. And our IT director, of course, Hank, thank you very much for setting us up.
Absolutely.
Berto.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. High Command, Jack's Giant Killers, also 7-3 and technically in first place in your division and in the conference. Welcome.
Thank you. Rough week this past week against the Hams, but
two straight weeks now in the 40s for Jack's Giant Killers, slumping a little bit.
Yeah.
Won one of those 2 games, fortunately, so you're still 7-3 and still in the good position you're in. Hank, on the other hand, I believe 3 straight weeks with 80 plus. Surging at a good time, but still a long way to go. We still got 4 regular season games to go before we even get to the playoffs. Still a lot to sort out. Let's start talking about things. Again, this is kind of impromptu. Hank, do you have standings for us?
I don't have standings. I mean, let's be honest. I think we're talking about a little bit that we're getting to. Thornburg is almost within clinching distance of the South. He's putting a fairly good gap.
He has pretty much clinched his division.
He's 8-2, and the next best team is 5-5. So he's got a 3-game lead, and there's only 4 to play.
Yep.
So he hasn't mathematically clinched it, but I can tell you, I think he has mathematically clinched his division.
He's
8-2. The Mongols are 4-6. And they've already beaten the Mongols. So I guess maybe the Mongols could do it with some head-to-head points, but it's
something like that, right?
Yeah. So it's not quite maybe, but the Beavers are going to win the South unless somebody gets on a hot run and the Beavers go off the deep end.
They could clinch the conference with 3 weeks to go.
Yes. In fact, they clinched it this week with a win and a Hams loss.
There you go.
Yeah. So, yeah, the South is looking, there's one team above all. The Western Division, the Hams, the Sponge, the Senators, they're all, again, as usual with that division, bunched up right in the middle, and they'll get to play each other to see how it all works out. They're all within 1 game.
Changes week by week. Yep.
And that's and it has been the story with the Northern West Division, which is the Aliens, the Lizards, and the Fats. They're all within a game and a half now with the tie, but Stick has got a game and a half lead on them both.
Yep.
So.
Yep. The Fats, we'll talk about them a little bit. I think with the Kelsey trade, and frankly, I think the bigger thing is the Goddard injury really at this point means they're playing for 2023.
Yeah. And I think Rob would admit that. I think he would say that. And, I think that between the Killers and myself and the Beavers, then you're going to have 2 other division winners.
Yep.
That's 5 of the playoff teams. You're fighting for 1 spot. And I think the Aliens have got a good shot for it. I think the Packers have probably got a good shot for it. The Aliens I think your path is through the division win. I think that you're on the track to get that.
And I'm also in good position at the moment for the wild card race. But I think I'm at a point now where I'm feeling confident about the Aliens. Again, my schedule the rest of the way is all teams with losing records. The Fats, I think, have started their fire sale. I'd like to believe I'll get to at least 7.5 wins into the playoffs. Right now, here, let me run through this. This is going to be in the commissioner report. Number 1 seed would be the Beavers. Number 2 seed would be Jack's Giant Killers.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 seed would be the Aliens.
Yeah, because you're the division winner.
Number 4 seed would be the Hams. Number 5 seed would be the K-Wheels. And the number 6 seed, surprisingly, would be the Amsterdam Packers.
Mm-hmm.
As terrible as they started this season. And they've got an odd record at 4-4-2. But that's our final wild card spot right now. It's the Impact.
Yeah, no, I believe it. And I've told you guys, right, the Northern Conference, I think is going to come down to Berto and me in week 14.
Yep.
And as the fates usually dictate, Berto has the good fortune of Justin Fields and Antonio Gibson both have bye weeks. He has no bye weeks. What the hell is a bye week in week 14? There should be no bye weeks at this point of the season. We're way too late.
I think I do have somebody on bye that week.
Nobody important.
And well, this was
who?
McLaurin.
Oh yeah, McLaurin. Yeah, okay, your third receiver. Yeah.
But this was the big discussion we had when the NFL expanded its schedule. Was we didn't want to be starting the playoffs anymore in week 14 when bye weeks would affect the playoff game.
Nope. But it's going to affect the Northern Conference title, and I'm already getting angry about it, Berto. So
good.
Yeah.
So, but get excited about week 14 league wide. We've got K-Wheels Giant Killers in week 14. Mm-hmm. We've got Aliens Lizards in week 14. I believe it's Sponge and Senators in week 14. Whoever it is in that division that's facing off in week 14 is going to be affecting that division title. Yep. We've got the Bro Bowl in week 14 between the Hams and the AMPAC. With
definite playoff implications.
Big playoff implications there. Yep. So, look forward to that for sure. And we're not going to settle a lot, I think, until that last week of the regular season.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about some fun stuff. The Travis Kelce trade, big trade, biggest trade of the year in the TFFL.
Yeah.
Before we get into the TFFL implications of it, let's talk about Travis Kelce for a moment. Hank suggested, TFFL Hall of Famer. Is there any debate that he's an NFL Hall of Famer already?
No.
All right.
No, he's in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Is he the best receiving tight end in NFL history?
Gronk might want a word.
I'd say yes.
But yeah, maybe. Tony Gonzalez.
I'll have some numbers in
Antonio Gates.
Kelce's numbers kill all.
I'm just thinking of who else is in the discussion.
You got the right names. So.
I think just the way they used him, and it's got to be him, right?
Yeah, I mean,
even more than Gronk. I mean, Gronk was such a beast, but
yeah, he was more of a physical specimen, and Kelce was like more of a wild card, a big guy that like Deebo Samuel who moves all over the field. I mean, they could play him at H-back, at tight end, at wide receiver. I mean. He's taking snaps at quarterback.
Yeah. I think there were people who would probably say Gronk was the better, blocking tight end as well.
Pure tight end,
receiving tight end. Yeah, Kelce's numbers are incredible.
Yeah, no, he's a TFFL and NFL Hall of Famer when he's done. Yes.
I mean, Gronk was an amazing red zone target for sure, but Kelce, 40-yard TDs. I mean, Gronk did that once in a while too, had a 1-2 day, but he's consistently over 100 plus 100 yards receiving. He's. Yeah.
Here's this.
I mean, Gronk was awesome, but
if you're gonna have a team, if you have to build a team to play against the aliens to save our planet, who's your tight end? I'm going to take Gronk ahead of Kelce. I have to tell you, because Gronk's going to hurt somebody, and he's going to catch the pass when we need him to.
Maybe best all around tight end. I might take
Kelce is fantastic, great player, no question about it.
All right, let's talk about this trade. What did you think about it from the Boba Fett's perspective?
What they get again?
A first in 2023 and a second in 2024, and Jahan Dotson for what he's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was good. I think it was a win-win, right? It was, Fat's got a lot. I think we were making, I made an offer for Kelce. I think Fats has gotten offers for Kelce the last couple of years. And the fact that, he I would say more than a couple of years. It's been a few years, I feel like, right? That
He's had it for a long time. Yeah.
that he's gotten offers for Kelsey. And there was always that, well, he's getting older. He's getting older. He has gotten older. He's what, 34, 33, 34?
32, 33. Yeah, maybe.
So,
33.
so he got maximum value. He had him on his team for a while, and he extended that out as far as he could. And he got offers, when he's been out of it in years past that were right around the same, this is probably the same type of offer. And now at this age, he got a big offer for him. So I think it's a good I think it's a good trade for Fats. And on the other side of it, kudos to Bill for going all in. That's awesome. And like I said, I was going after Kelsey and it didn't work. But that's a great trade.
I agree. I think the price was heavy, but probably fair. I think Fats did a good job getting good value for a stud player that is probably better served on a team trying to win a title than for Fats right now. And I think he got the right return for it. Good job to you both. If we might look back in 2 years, if the Chiefs win a Super Bowl and Kelsey decides he's going to retire and keep his body healthy or whatnot, then he might have to say we might say he overpaid a little bit. If he's in the Pac Bowl or wins a title, I don't think he cares one bit. So
he's 33.
He's 33.
But then you watch him play, and he doesn't. He looks like he still got. He still looks like he still got it, right? I mean,
Yes,
not just his production, but like his, willingness to. He wants to be out there and you know what I mean? Like it doesn't look like he's slowing down, but
not a bit.
As Phil noted early on, the Beavers are going to be at worst the number 2 seed in our playoffs.
Yeah, they will be.
They are going to have a bye in the first round of the playoffs. They have to win all of 2 playoff games.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're on the cusp. This was a move, good. Yeah, good for Bill.
Yeah,
that's why it's such a great. I mean, nobody gets in the end zone like this guy, and so the fact that Bill pulled that off, man, that's huge.
Yep.
Going back to the Fats again, I didn't think the timing was a little interesting. This trade was made after the start of Week 10 action.
Yeah.
With Kelsey in the lineup, the Fats go on to win that game. They're now 4-6. As much as we're thinking of them as going after a draft pick next year, they're 4-6. They're a game and a half out of the division lead. They're a game out of the wild card. And I think their plan probably was, okay, I'm just going to slide Dallas Goedert into the Kelsey role, and make off with a first and a second and Jahan Dotson for a guy that's 33 years old.
Yep.
I think the problem now, so I don't think it was necessarily a fire sale trade. I think if he was really in a fire sale mood, that trade happens before the start of Week 10 action. Kelsey's not in his lineup.
Right.
But I think now that Goddard is injured, and if you look at the Fats running back core, it's the same. They're going to struggle to start 3 guys who get touches.
Yeah.
I think he's now in fire sale mode.
So here's the thing. Rob and I have been talking about this for a while. Many texts about this. Just chatting. An offer, a solid offer out there at one point, but he didn't want to make the move because next year, right, he could theoretically play both Goddard and Kelsey as well. So that was part of his thinking was, well, I don't know if I want to trade him yet because I can have both of these guys in the lineup and, they both score touchdowns and he can play them both next year.
Yep.
And then I think at some point he's like, to your point, and then I think he started thinking the way you're saying, Stick, like, okay, I can put Goddard in tight end for now. I can still maybe hang around the division, but yeah, that has blown that up. Goddard injury. But having both of those guys in the lineup next year, that would have been really solid. So.
All right, let's talk about another incredible player just real quick. I was visiting my mother and stepfather this past weekend, so I did not have Red Zone, and kind of unfortunately, to watch the whole Bills-Vikings game. What a game.
Holy crap.
And I just want to talk real quick. Justin Jefferson is a god. That catch was insane. The catch after that, where fearless in the air over the middle, all game long. One of the best homer picks we've probably ever seen in the TFFL. Second round pick for the K Wheels.
Yep.
Go look at Kelsey's numbers, and again they blow away Gates and Gonzalez, and go look at Justin Jefferson's numbers. The yardage totals this guy has put up in his first 3 seasons. He's 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You hopefully 5 or 10 more stud years out of him.
Let's hope so.
That catch was just incredible.
Mm-hmm. Well, and as I've said, I think probably both of you in different cases, and Berto with AJ Brown, it's like it's really fun to have a great player on your team. Is because you're going to cheer for him anyway, and it's even better when it's a double Jefferson and the Vikings score, and it's great. I have nothing else to say. He's everything and more that I'd ever hoped he would be.
Yeah. He's awesome, and not to give Phil too many kudos here, but Justin Jefferson, Metcalf was a second or third round pick.
Second, I think.
Metcalf was a second rounder. Jefferson was a second rounder.
Both of those guys in the second round. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. And I won't share too many kudos with my panelists, but let's also acknowledge Hank with the Justin Fields trade. We were talking about this before we came on. You've had him for 2 weeks now. You not only made the trade, you made the bold move to put him right into the lineup over Brady.
Yep.
2 weeks now, over 30 points in each game.
Yes. Everything I could have hoped, just like Jefferson, it's very nice. And, I had Fields last year. I drafted Fields, hoping he would be what he is starting to become. And I'm thrilled to get him back. And that was part of my pitch to Fats was, Fats, I love this guy. I've told you I did before. And so I think I softened him up enough to help make that deal. But he also had, and again, he has Justin Herbert, which I don't think he's complaining about one bit. So I'm thrilled to have Justin Fields.
Maybe a trade of the year right there. But as we were talking about, let's remember the Beavers went out and got Jalen Hurts for a 6th round pick. That has played out very well for them. But Berto, you made a good point. If you really think through all the dominoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Go ahead, make your point.
Well, so trading Hurts allows the Beavers then drop Tua. Tua goes to the Amsterdam Packers. Russell Wilson struggles, and now the Amsterdam Packers have Tua, their quarterback of the future. So, I mean, that's another double whammy in the no-co for us. But I mean, at least Hurts didn't go to the wheels, but now Phil has Fields, so who looks the part at least a couple of games into it. So.
Yes, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, but looks the part for sure.
So just to be clear here, Jalen Hurts is averaging 19.4 points per game this year. Tua is averaging 19.0. So I think this was probably a terrible move by the Beavers for 0.4 points a week. They gave up a 6th round pick. It was a good move, but interesting the impact get Tua, and between Tua and Tyreek Hill. That franchise is obviously suddenly surging.
Yeah. Which, this panel, I'm sure, is just thrilled to say that. No.
So after the Kelsey trade, I think it was Chief that, turned to both of you and said, what's your move? The reality that I just want to make sure everybody's aware of is all three of us, as I like to think that the 3 other big contenders right now have made moves. The Justin Fields move for the K Wheels was a huge move, as we've just talked about. The Giant Killers made a move for Kirk Cousins. And this morning, the Aliens landed Justin Tucker.
There you go. Big move for Justin Tucker.
Yeah,
I told him right when he did it, I was like, "That's a sneaky good move." You know, it is.
What pick was that? Tell me again. What
fifth round pick for Justin Tucker.
But now compare this, Berto. Now I'm going to make him sad. He gave up a 5th for Justin Tucker. I gave up a 4th for Justin Fields.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I looked at, I actually, I do like that move. I feel like that adds 3 points a week to my lineup, guaranteed every week. I wasn't going to get that kind of a boost with any of the running backs I could see on the market, given who I'm starting at running back right now. I wish there was a stud quarterback I could go out and get, and I just didn't see those options either. Fields might have been that option if I were looking 2 weeks ago. So my kickers are crappy. That was an upgrade to my lineup week in and week out going forward. So we'll see.
Sneaky good move. Well done.
So speaking of trades, let me hand this off to Berto. Believe it or not, folks, we have our annual TFFL Webcast trade forecast. Despite the impromptu nature of this, Berto has been thinking trades as he does all year long, and he's prepared with what he thinks should happen going down the stretch here.
I did scribble a few down, but in looking at the standings, I got a few here, but I was hard pressed to come up with more than 4.
Berto, let me jump in real quick if I may.
Yeah.
I'd be delinquent in my role as commissioner, and I think I already am delinquent in this respect. We need to flag when the actual trade deadline is, because I think it's like coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
Like may have already passed.
Not quite, but I'm looking for one of you to actually tell me the answer.
Oh, I think it's next Wednesday, right?
Is it? Yeah, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We've locked that one in. Right?
Yeah, I think it's the calendar. We've pegged it to the calendar, right?
Yeah.
So a week from today.
Yeah. So a week from today.
Wow.
I believe that's correct. Bill, if you're well, he's not listening, but
he's not watching. We have no viewers right now.
So what's going to happen in the next week, Berto? Tell us.
All right. So, trades that should happen. So here we go. The Devils in prime position for number 1 overall send James Robinson to the Aliens for a 2024 second-round pick. The upstart Aliens don't quite push it all in, but add a running back who, will put up some points going forward for him. So that's number 1. Number 2, after a loss to the Killers in Week 12, the Mongols pack it in, sending running back Jeff Wilson to the Hormel Hams for a 2024 second-round pick. The Hams at 6-5 are in the thick of the division. They have the number 1 passing game with Mahomes, but number 11 rushing attack, at least according to the website. The Kelsey-less Boba Fats beat the Senators in Week 12. Kramer decides that it's time to pack it in and rebuild for next year. Sending Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely to either the Killers or the Wheels for a 2024 number 1 pick.
So 2 tight ends in that package. Either me or you are going to package it. I think the pick is probably about right, but
yes.
Why are we going to get 2 tight ends? Why do I want both?
Well, because you want to stack up.
I got Pitts.
Wow. Okay.
But that's
it.
Keep going.
Now, there's a couple other players that I was looking at. I just didn't really know where to peg them in. And one of those was Alvin Kamara.
Yes, I thought you were going to go there.
But I really didn't know where to send him. And again, I did this kind of quick a few minutes before he got on here. And the other player was George Kittle on the Devils.
Sure.
That's another guy that has potential to move as well.
But I think you off the top kind of nailed one of the big issues here as we approach the trade deadline is that there's really only one team that's out of it. The Devils are 2-8; they're done. Everybody else is within a game of their division, and it's we all have head-to-head games against our division mates left. So packing it in at this point, okay, if you want, but there's opportunity,
Yeah. I mean, the Mongols, they can't win the division, so they've
Nope.
got to, they're gonna fight for that 6th wild card spot, right? So, or the 6th
But you're
spot.
right there. I mean, if you look at it though, that right now the 6th, if you say you or me, whoever doesn't win the division is going to get the 5 seed, then the 6th seed is between the AMPAC, the odd man out in the aliens, lizards, fats division. One of those people might be involved. The Mongols could be right in it, and so could the Sponge and the Sens.
Yeah,
there's a lot of potential competitors for that number 6 slot.
Yeah. And then a couple teams just made a trade, right? So we just highlighted a couple of those. The Kelsey trade to the Beavers, since it's already happened. That would have been on my list for sure to somebody.
Yep.
The Sponge already made a trade as well. We forgot to mention that one for Jacoby Myers.
Yep.
Maybe the Sponge are going to do something else. So we've already got a couple trades that have happened, and there's not, by having the Sens lose this week, having the Sens and the Mongols lose this week was the only way that I saw that, okay, maybe that's the opportunity where they're going to pack it in. But,
but you look at all those though, and the Sponge are a half game out of their division title, and right in that mess of chasing the 6th seed. I don't think they're ready to pack it in.
Yeah.
Same with the Mongols. They're right, and they're all right in there. And it's
Well, the Mongols, if they lose this week, I think they're
probably on the way out. Then
the Senators may kind of be in the same boat with another loss. But you're right, and we got a hard deadline coming up here against Thanksgiving, and there may not be enough new information this weekend to make a lot of teams want to trade.
Yeah. Well, and as someone who has spent just a little bit of time looking at what players may be available in trade, it's not a long list. As we were just talking about, it's Kamara, it's Kittle, it gets thin, and like the opportunity to make a really big trade, as we know in this league, is very difficult.
Well,
we've seen smaller trades so far to for backups to shore things up, to get the Fields one, you needed a quarterback, and but other than that, the Kelsey trade,
that's the big one. Kelsey's the big one.
Jacoby Myers, Kirk Cousins, these are mice nuts trades really, but they have some value and purpose.
They have value, but that's what we can look at. Those are the headline trades. I think like somebody's going to acquire Jamar Chase from the Killers, is not going to happen, or whoever. Even the Senators, take whoever, Rashad Bateman, you're going to have to pay Kramer way more than he's worth.
Here's a couple other names to look at real quick. I guarantee you that, and I think this should be funny to you guys, Michael Carter is going to get traded
again, third time.
Because just as James Robinson has an opportunity, Carter's getting opportunity for the Jets right now. And the fact he's on the Fats, I think Carter's probably out of here at some point.
He's available.
Yeah.
True. That's a good one.
If the Lizards lose this week and the Aliens win, and the Lizards find themselves 2.5 games back with 3 to go, does somebody like DeAndre Hopkins get put on the trade block all of a sudden?
Here's why I didn't put the Lizards as a seller. Because of Rich's eternal optimism and thinking that the Aliens are going to falter. And, Dak, and I looked at his roster too, and you look at some of the guys in this roster, they're playing better. Dak,
James Conner.
He's got Eckler and Mixon.
Mixon just got 5 TDs.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, if he's 4-7 and I win this week and I've got 2.5 games up on him with 3 to go, he's got some players that I think, James Conner, DeAndre Hopkins actually would be pretty big gets.
And the other one he could trade if he decides to go that way is Geno Smith would get value. Somebody who needs a quarterback would maybe pick up Geno Smith from him.
So speaking of quarterbacks, the guy, when I first started looking around before I landed on Justin Tucker as my target, I was looking for a bigger move, and I could use a stud quarterback if one
Mhm.
were sitting out there. I thought maybe Nick would trade Lamar Jackson. Just could I send him Trevor Lawrence and a pick for Lamar? Go look at Lamar Jackson's numbers, though. He's for 6 weeks now has not broken double digits. I don't think.
And it's funny you say that because I looked at that too, and then I did look at his numbers. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm going to go look at this, and they're
not
going
this year.
to do it. Nor would I think that Nick would want to part with him. So.
No, you'd have to pay a lot. And is he playing that well? Is Baltimore good enough to get him there?
Yes.
And the last 4 or 5 weeks with him, I was going to tell you, ooh, not really.
But I did look at Lamar Jackson.
Sure.
Yes.
Me too.
So Lamar Jackson over the last he has broken double digits 12, 17, 4, 10, 9, 9. I'm not trading for that right now.
Now the one you nailed it earlier is James Robinson is the guy that should not be on the Devils by the weekend because he's a good player. He's not a building block for the Devils. I mean, I don't think they're trading Damian Pierce or Ramondre Stevenson or Isaiah Pacheco. Those are 3 running backs he can keep and feel good about. He can trade James Robinson and get value, which, would you project a second rounder in 2024? I think he can get a second rounder next year.
Wow.
Second rounder 2024. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to make that move because if we can talk aliens for a second, Tony Pollard, Donta Foreman, Devin Singletary, TJ Hawkinson, Raheem Mostert, Robinson's
he's another guy.
And great running back depth is nice, but in the next week, I don't see myself feeling the need to invest a second for James Robinson.
I think there's some, Pollard, yes, I agree with, and Foreman, yes, he's had a couple of good games, but both of those games were against the Falcons. Is that right?
Maybe.
That may be a good point.
And the game in between those 2 Falcons games was not good. So,
fair point.
Yeah, he's playing. You don't play the Falcons every week.
They're done playing the Falcons, unfortunately.
So, and Singletary, I don't know. The Bills, that's a big question mark. Who knows what's going to happen there? But
they don't run the ball.
So,
their primary running back is Josh Allen.
I think you're over. You're overstating. You're right.
I don't think James Robinson is. He's the same guy as Singletary or the same guy as Mostert.
I agree with that.
Let me ask you this question then. So maybe you would be the Kamara guy.
Maybe, but is Kamara markedly better?
Kamara might be the kind of guy I could go after. Yes.
You would want a needle mover and somebody who is your top of the. Okay.
That's my point. I don't think Robinson adds to my depth, but maybe doesn't start more than one game for me. I'm not going to trade.
And maybe, you aren't maybe the destination for Robinson, but Robinson should be on somebody else's roster. And maybe Kamara. Get Kramer thinking.
I did for a second think about Kamara to the aliens, to be honest with you, but I also was thinking that would be hard for you to get a deal done with Kramer for Kamara. But maybe not.
And Kramer will tell you.
That doesn't seem like an aliens move either, necessarily.
Kamara?
Yeah, or that type of offer for a running back at this point in the year.
No, again, listen, Kamara could be a difference maker. Go look at his numbers too. He had that one monster week a couple weeks ago, and that is his only double-digit week this year. The Saints are, kind of a mess right now, and but Kamara is the guy I think, or James Conner's another one who could be a difference maker down the stretch. And those are the 2 names I think if you really want to make a splash at running back, you're probably looking at.
But let's stick. I think you had it right though. I mean, you look at your roster and you have a very solid B roster. You have a bunch of good guys. Healthy guys.
Yeah.
There's not one that is like, he's a superstar. He's a stud every week, no doubt about it. But to add James Robinson or even Alvin Kamara at this stage of his career doesn't change that. It adds another guy that you can add onto them. And, yes, Kamara probably becomes, your number 2 guy behind Pollard probably at this point.
Kamara would start every week, probably. Yeah.
Yes, he would. He'd start above Devin Singletary for sure. But you know, you can say about your receivers. You know, Amari Cooper, Gabe Davis, Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel is really good player. Gabe Davis and Amari Cooper are guys. You know, they're good. They're solid, but I'm not sure either one of them is. You know.
Oddly, all three. Deebo is not having a very good year. All three of those guys have disappointed a little bit, but they've all had their weeks such that my receivers have actually put up a decent amount of points week by week. Because generally, you know, Gabe Davis went and had a good week this week. Hawkinson exploded for me once at receiver. Gabe Davis exploded, you know, earlier in the year with that monster game. Cooper's had a couple of big weeks, and they all kind of do it in different weeks, so it's worked out. But yeah, if there were a stud receiver out there, that actually I think, and again, I'm hoping Jamison Williams maybe makes a difference, maybe in a month. Kadarius Toney is currently on IR for me. I've got to wait a couple more weeks before I can use him. But it's possible that he's a nice jolt for me in a couple of weeks at receiver. I really felt like I could upgrade at quarterback. I'm not getting tons of points out of my quarterback spot. I just didn't, you know, Lamar Jackson just didn't work out. And I definitely needed to upgrade a kicker and went and did that. And the rest of my lineup is a B lineup. And
but there's some good potential there. I mean, and it's all the way through. You don't have a lot of C players either. I think you have a really solid
I feel like I've got a good
lineup. And in any given week, any one of them can have a very big week. It'll be interesting if you add more, you know, let's pretend you added James Robinson or Kamara. Does that make you then not start the right guy who's going to have his hot week? And it becomes that kind of situation where you've got just a little too many pieces to consider.
And we haven't talked about, for what it's worth, Kyron Williams, who debuted last week for the Rams, played ahead of Cam Akers, only touched the ball 4 times, but I think he went for like 10 yards a pop every time he touched it. He's going to get more opportunities for the Rams. He's going to be another guy in the mix, at least for me. And yeah, I don't need another guy. I need a stud receiver or a stud running back or a stud quarterback.
I mean, this is a huge matchup this week against the Sponge. Without Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, that's a big injury. Big. Do we know how long is he out? Do we know? Did they say anything?
Let's run. Yeah, there were a bunch of injuries I wanted to run down.
I think he's out for like 4 to 6 weeks, right?
Was it that long?
He is on IR. He is having surgery, so he is out at least for the rest of the TFFL regular season.
Oh, brutal.
I don't know if the Sponge even should have optimism that he'll be back for the TFFL playoffs. They, again, just depending upon where the Rams are.
Week 15 is the earliest he can return.
Right. Khalil Herbert, by the way, on IR as well. That dings the Hams at the running back spot. Maybe helps the Sponge a little bit, and that David Montgomery is going to get a ton of touches. Might help the K-Wheels, and it's going to be Justin Fields and David Montgomery running the ball there. Leonard Fournette, and we should talk about this, what that means for the Giant Killers. Leonard Fournette, I don't know how bad that injury is, but that's a ding for the Amsterdam Packers. And rookie Rachaad White getting a ton of touches now for Tampa Bay, and suddenly is a lineup factor for the Giant Killers.
Yeah, I don't know. So they're on bye this week, right?
But I think White's a piece for you down the stretch.
He is. I mean, I liked him.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I was hoping he fell to me, you know, at that pick in the second round. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, he's hopefully White is something. Yeah, but they're gonna ride Fournette. I mean, I think he'll be back after the bye. It doesn't. What I'm reading here, it's like, you know, he's expected to be back. It's not bad, but you know, if it's going to be more of a timeshare, it could be one of those evolving situations like the Zeke and Pollard thing did. But that took
time,
you know, a while to play out.
A couple of years, yeah.
Right. And whether I have the patience for that, number one, and number two, you know, yeah, he's got to be something by the end of this year, or he can't be on my team next year anyway.
My recollection on Fournette's contract is that he's basically expendable after this year. I don't think it was a 1-year contract, but I think the cap hit is so minimal that I think you're keeping Rashad White next year at this rate. And I think Tampa's, especially if Tampa somehow falls out of that playoff race in that crappy division, they're going to give the ball more and more to White.
I don't think you're right on that. Look at Berto's running backs. He's going to keep Nick Chubb, Miles Sanders, and DeAndre Swift for sure. There's 3.
Yep.
He's going to keep Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, and Joe Burrow for sure.
Okay.
That leaves you 1 spot, and you got Tyler Algier, you got Rashard White. Yep. You got McLaurin.
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd.
At some point, he's going to trade away Miles Sanders.
Yeah, he's going to, but then he's going to want to keep Gainwell because he's invested in Gainwell now and has hopes.
If Miles Sanders, he's going to be free agent, or
NFL.
Whether he's going to be there or not, I don't think he'll be with the Eagles. But I think it's good for Miles Sanders this year because they're going to ride him. They're going to give him the ball as much as possible, and then he's going to be somewhere else next year, is my guess.
They didn't do it last week.
Now whether Gainwell is the guy next year or not, I don't know. But it's probably going to be somebody else there. But so I mean, so who knows what happens there? But yeah, if Rashad White turns into something, that would be great. But
he's looking good right now. Yeah.
So we'll see.
Good enough.
All right. I've run out of topics. We're at 40 minutes. Well done.
Run the schedule. What do we got coming up?
Yeah, let's run. I can run through the schedule real quick. Let me pull up my commissioner's report here.
Pull up your matchups.
As a reminder, in terms of free agency order, we've been talking as well, a lot about the playoffs, but in terms of free agency order and draft order for next year, the Dirt Devils unquestionably number 1 in the free agent order at 2-8, number 1 pick overall next year, likely heading to the Devils. Week 11 schedule: Devils 2-8 versus the K-Wheels at 7-3. Steel City Mongols 4-6 versus the Giant Killers at 7-3. So both the K-Wheels and the Giant Killers have relatively easy matchups there in the SoCo East. Both could find yourselves at 8-3 heading into week 12.
If I may, this is the week. This is the extra week, right? Because this is my second matchup with the Devils. This is our week where we're all playing an opponent, so that we have the week 14 schedule.
That's a very good. This is that week where, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So some people you get the Devils twice.
Yes, year. I do. Nice. Take it.
I was dreading getting the defending champion Sponge Fisherman twice.
Yes, but maybe you dreaded a little less today than you would have.
You guys have got the Devils and Mongols. The Slippery Beavers are number 1 seed at the moment at 8-2, facing off with the Amsterdam Packers 4-4-2. That is a big game between 2 teams that currently are projected to make the playoffs.
Yeah, Ampac need to win that game.
If the Ampac lose that game, and you would think, I'm not looking at the.
They're not favored. Yeah. Yeah.
If the Beavers win that game, as they probably should be favored to do, the Ampac at 4-5-2, could like drop below 5 teams in a hurry for that final wild card spot.
Beavers by 14 is the projection.
All right. Then we got a couple of actually 3 games with teams all very tight in the schedule. These will all impact wild cards, if not division races. Hormel Hams at 5-5, currently leading their division. They play the Lizards at 4-6. The Senators at 4-6 play the Boba Fats at 4-6, and the Aliens at 5-4-1 play the Sponge Fishermen at 4-5-1. Depending on how those last 3 games go, and then how Ralph does. Yeah, whoever's in the wild card spots now could fall all the way to like number 2 in the draft order.
That's what we were talking about. I mean, there's still, you take out the Devils who are out of it.
Yep.
Everybody else has still got a path. There's still a through line for everybody else. And so when you start talking about trades and unloading and positioning for next year, it's like, are you sure you want to do that? I mean, you look at the Mongols, it's like, no, they're not going to win their division, but they're only a half a game out of the number 6 seed, you know.
The Boba Fett's beat the Senators this week. The Boba Fett's get to 5 and 6, and
yeah, they're
suddenly,
right in it.
Yeah, damn it! Why did I trade Travis Kelce?
Right.
I'll tell you what, man, I'm looking at the Beavers lineup with Kelce in there.
Yep, it's good.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
He's playing Kelce at receiver, I trust.
So what you're saying, Berto, is you're scared of the Beavers.
I mean, the Beavers are. I mean, if Najee was Najee this year, man, this team would be. No, so
you know what I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to, after I beat Berto in the semifinals, that I'll play Thornburg for the championship, and Najee Harris will get displaced, and I'll get to start Jalen Warren, and it'll rub it right in his face to win the Pac Bowl. We'll see that happen. That'd be some good karma.
We didn't mention. I almost said Le'Veon Bell, Najee Harris in the injuries, but he's apparently got a knee, and depending upon how the Steelers look down the stretch, does he get shut down to some degree? That could be a big swing if Jalen Warren's suddenly a factor for you.
So Bill has Godwin, Christian Kirk, ETN, all on bye this week.
Yes.
And then the Zach Ertz injury.
He's out.
Which,
yep.
It doesn't matter anymore because he's got Kelce, but yeah.
As long as you're looking at buys, let me throw one final insight out here that I've got in the commissioner's report. Go look at the Hormel Hams roster. And when we talk about the Bro Bowl in week 14 and the reality that the Hams right now have a half game lead in their division, and are going to be fighting for a playoff spot each and every week down the stretch. Go look at all the players on bye in week 14.
That's what I was saying. The week 14 bye is a bunch of crap. The NFL needs to fix that. The bye should be done by then.
Am I right, Berto?
Yeah.
We're too close to the end of the season.
Pittman,
it's going to impact the Northern Conference title. It's going to impact
Ryan Robinson, A.J. Dillon.
Wow. The Saints defense, he doesn't have another defense. He's going to have to make a bunch of moves.
Yeah. So, fun time of year. I'm glad all three of us are squarely in this. And again, frankly, most of the league is still squarely in this. And we may or may not get clarity with the week 11 outcomes, but we're going to have a trade deadline coming up a week from tonight. I'll have to consult the rule book for the exact timing of that. It might be noon on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. But yeah, a week to go. Gotta make some decisions whether you're in the race or not. There are some players out there that I think people may be interested in if teams are willing to give them up, but we'll have to see.
And it was good to do another webcast tonight too.
Yes,
that was fun.
Yes.
We'll do another one in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, probably won't do it next week. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes, indeed.
Belated happy birthday to Hank, by the way.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. 51.
Birthday.
Still standing.
Happy Thanksgiving. Good luck in week 11. Good luck in your trading. We'll try to come back here sometime after Thanksgiving and set the stage for the final week or two of the regular season. Week 14 will be a big one. Buys will be an issue, unfortunately, for not just the K-Wheels, but the Hams.
Yep.
In that week. This is fun. I hope everybody's enjoying it. Be safe. Be happy next week. Take care. We will talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Good night.
Good night. Oh, what are you going to do here? Screw that. Good night, everyone.
Seamless ending.